What are you thinking? How are we feeling? What have we done to each other? What will we do? Gone Girl coming up next. All right, Shea Serrano's here, Mallory Rubin, Sean Fennessey.
Wow.
This was the last great Fincher movie. It's actually a truth.
Will it be the final Fincher movie is a question.
Is that possible?
No, it won't be.
Here's the run, 07 to 14, Zodiac, Ben Button. I don't call him Benjamin, I call him Ben.
Just Ben.
Ben Button, Social Network, Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl. Ripped those off in 8 years. What happens? Why doesn't he make movies anymore, Sean?
Because he took the money from Netflix and helped launch House of Cards, which then changed the future of entertainment forever, basically. And now he's making another show with Netflix called Mindhunter. He does have a movie coming up soon, but this is perhaps his last theatrical film release, which is sad to say because he is an absolute master of fucked up movies.
His work has inspired the Take Hunter series at The Ringer. What more could anyone ask for?
Yeah, that is true. We have that at least. Shay, this is one of your favorite villains.
Yes.
You did a villains podcast on your podcast Villains.
I did.
And now we're doing a Rewatchables podcast.
All about Amy
We're
Dunn.
retreading the same territory,
We
kind
can,
of,
we
sort
can
of.
do 20 of them.
It's fine.
I don't care. You do the thing about you invented that championship belt thing. You pass it along from best to best to best.
Yeah.
Amy still has the title. She got it from Heath Ledger Joker. She's still holding on to it.
Oh, wow.
It's fantastic.
You think Joaquin Phoenix, Why can't I speak? You think Joaquin Phoenix is going to take it
No, I don't think so.
for the new Joker movie?
Maybe he's the hero of that movie. We don't know yet.
Definitely
Really?
not the hero.
You never know.
So you think Amy Dunn has had the championship belt of best villain for 5 years now?
I think so.
Do you agree with that, Mallory?
Who else is there?
You know, I'd make the case for Gellert Grindelwald, but I doubt I'd get support from anyone here with me today.
Absolutely not. Under no circumstances.
Is that a rapper? Who is that?
Yeah, you're not familiar with his albums?
No. So Fincher said he wanted to do this movie, obviously based on the 2012 book. He said what he was most interested in was the idea of narcissism as a way to hold two people together and the notion of how we project the best version of ourselves, not only to seduce someone we imagine to be perfect for us, but also to have it fit into our own perfect narcissistic projection. Your thoughts, Mallory?
Narcissism is a very real factor in our everyday lives. And I
increasingly.
think that one of the things that I love about this film, that I loved about the book so much, I read the book before seeing the movie, and that makes it such a rewarding rewatch, is that certainly the twist, the plot, the actual mechanics of the story as they unfold are thrilling and scintillating and make for a rewarding experience. But the reason it's so rewarding time after time is because it's ultimately a story about human nature. And that never gets old.
Sean?
I'll uncork my theory about it right now. It's certainly about narcissism, but
It's about control.
I think it's much more about Ben Affleck's narcissism as a public person, and the movie is basically one long thesis about Ben Affleck's fame in a very discreet way. You know, they like me, they love me,
Clever.
they don't trust me, they hate me, they love me again. I mean, that is really the arc of Ben Affleck's career. And Fincher, who understands stardom as well as anyone, knows exactly what he's doing by putting somebody like Ben Affleck in a movie like this. And so, you know, who's more narcissistic than a movie star?
Here would be my counter to that, which I think is a great theory. I think John Hamm was supposed to be the lead of this movie.
He was talked about for sure.
And I don't want to do the casting what ifs this early, but I think, to me, it's the most fascinating thing about this movie. John Hamm, that story's true. He was going to be in this movie, and then Mad Men, Matthew Weiner would not let him out. And it would have been, they would have to juggle, which they do with TV shows from time to time, where you film the TV show and then you run off and you get like bank out little weekend stuff like that. And it was the last season of Mad Men, and Matthew Weiner was like, no.
What does
So
that mean?
then they ended up with Affleck.
He wouldn't let him out. Like
He was in contract to finish the last season of Mad Men. But what happens a lot of times with especially successful TV shows is they try to accommodate. Like on The Office, Ed Helms filmed The Hangover as he filmed The Office and was like filming The Hangover at night, all this stuff. And they made it happen. Jets, all that. So this movie with John Hamm is really, really fascinating. What if? You could argue it would have ignited John Hamm's career because it's such a great role, and he would have been really good. It would have been basically Don Draper in A Bad Marriage.
I don't think he could have done this.
Would John Hamm have done the side dick? It's the only question that matters.
We needed a wider lens, I think.
It's the only question that matters.
So you're down on John Hamm in this.
Yeah, for this role.
Why?
I think you need to have like an innate likability about you for this role to work. John Hamm gets in it. Nobody ever just liked Don Draper. Everybody thought Don Draper was cool. Nobody was like, he seems like he would send me a birthday card.
You didn't like John Hamm in The Town? We are a national organization.
I loved him in The Town.
Okay.
No, I love John Hamm in The Town. I love him in Baby Driver. But for this particular role, it doesn't seem like he possesses the right skill set for this thing.
I would argue the exact opposite is true about
You always
Nick.
argue the exact opposite. But whatever I say, you just come in the other direction.
I think that you're supposed to think that you should like him. Like rationally, the things about him are inherently likable traits, but you find something about him repellent. And I think John Hamm could swing that.
I'm going the other way.
Just like you could swing something else in the shower scene. Am I right?
Stop looking at me.
Would have been swinging.
This is already out of control.
Put my energy towards Bill today.
We're 7 minutes in, and we've got dick swinging everywhere.
I think you just have to have a relationship with the actor. And the relationship that we have with John Hamm is a relationship with Don Draper. It's not with John Hamm. And the relationship that we have with Affleck is Affleck, the public person. Would it have been a good movie with John Hamm? Sure. Would it have transcended whatever David Fincher's like psychological mumbo jumbo explanation about what the movie is? Yeah, of course. Like all movies are definable by us. They're not definable by the people who make them. So, there's a lot of things that this movie is about. It wants to be about marriage. Sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it doesn't. It wants to be about the tenuous relationship between what women say that they want and what they actually want, and likewise with men. It has a lot to do with movie stardom and kind of like, and the media and putting yourself forward. Like all of these, the movie's about all of those things. So I don't think you can just boil it down to, are we all just narcissists, and the way that we project ourselves onto the world is the most meaningful thing we can say about this? Like it's bigger than that.
I agree, and I actually think Hamm would have been good, but I love that Affleck did this at this point of his career because he has now completed the comeback, and it's hit a point where he's just won all the Oscars for Argo, and everybody's like, Affleck. And then this turned out to be the perfect movie for him and the perfect kind of year. And during the movie, he's filming or starting to get ready for Batman, so his body's actually changing.
He's big.
During the movie. But after this movie, you're like, wow, Ben Affleck.
Great movie star.
King of the fucking hill.
Yeah.
He's back. And this is a movie star part, and he's basically playing Ben Affleck. I mean, there's the one part where he's playing video games, and he's kind of like sad Ben Affleck. But for the most part, it's a charisma part, and you have to still be with him even after you find out he's cheating with Emily the model. What's her last name?
Radikowski.
Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the interesting thing too is that Ben Affleck, we understand to be a big star who's been around for 25 years. This is the 4th highest grossing movie he's ever made, and the other movies are basically just franchise movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that says a lot. This is a literary adaptation. It's a crime thriller. It's really perverse. I mean, it's honestly one of the most fucked up Hollywood movies ever made in terms of the themes, the content, the way that the story is told, the way it looks.
Cruising 1, Gone Girl 2.
It's in that conversation.
Yeah.
It is really in that conversation. So it's kind of just an amazing achievement for the director and Gillian Flynn for sure, who wrote the book and then adapted the book in a way that is really interesting and very different from the book that she wrote.
Yeah, ish.
I mean, just the general structure of the book is so different from the way that the story is told.
Structurally, it's similar, but then a lot of the plot specifics are different. So, like, ultimately, the book, it's divided into 3 parts, right? It's much like the movie. You have the part that is the Nick story, and you're only understanding Amy through diary entries and through memories. Then you have the huge reveal, the same opening line in the movie and in the book. And then part 3 is the return. You're in their heads, though.
Right.
And so by definition, you have an understanding of their motives that you cannot have in the movie. And I think actually, while in general I'm the book is better than the movie person, I think you can make a pretty compelling case that part of what makes the movie so totally gripping is that you do not know.
No inner monologue.
What the motive really is. And so you're left to debate and try to deduce on your own. And then that brings you into that fucked up web that they've woven with each other.
Do you like Ben Affleck?
Love Ben Affleck.
Where does this rank top 4 Ben Affleck performances?
It goes The Town, Gone Girl, Armageddon.
Gone Girl 2. Interesting.
Gone Girl. Yeah, he's great.
I have it top 4. I came out of this movie thinking like Ben Affleck is back for good. Mm-hmm. Nothing can stop this.
Yeah, for sure.
Whoops. And then, I don't feel like the wheels are completely off, but the car's definitely broken down on the highway a couple times.
You have a great theory about where he was at this stage and his decision to take on Batman
I wrote about it.
And
he told me I was right.
I always thought that was right too.
He went for the 19-0 Pat season, basically.
Yeah.
And he was like, my comeback's going unbelievably well. Now I'm going to be Batman. Fuck everybody.
And he blew out his Achilles in week 1, unfortunately. Like he
it
just
was
didn't.
like week 11.
I mean, that was a mistake, and it derailed like a significantly interesting part of his career to make a bunch of movies that are bad. I mean, those movies are just not good.
Yeah, what was the one, the 2016 movie, Live by Night?
Live by Night. Yeah, well, so that was a movie that he was gonna make before doing Gone Girl, put it on the shelf so he could do Gone Girl, which is a good thing. And Live by Night has kind of interesting stuff in it, but is a little bit messy. And then everything else that's around it, Justice League and Suicide Squad and Batman versus Superman and all that stuff really doesn't work. And Triple Frontier and The Accountant, I kind of like that as like.
I like The Accountant.
You don't like
Ben
Ben Affleck as Batman?
No.
What?
Well, I don't think he's a bad Batman. I just think those are bad movies.
Yeah.
It's not that
Sean's
he's a bad Batman.
he just doesn't appreciate the art of the movies.
Okay.
Listen, part of this is when you have kids, you get older, you want to impress your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was a movie actor,
absolutely,
whatever Ben Simmons liked, that would be like, I'm going to be the star of that movie. My son's going to be really impressed because that's what it becomes about. Yeah. So I think these guys all get sucked into that. I think one of the things that makes Affleck so unique and in my opinion special is that he could be the guy from The Town and the guy from Gone Girl. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard to be action guy, but then also guy in this really fucked up erotic thriller husband where I shouldn't be rooting for him, but I am.
Only a handful of people have been able to do it.
Like
Tom Cruise, Paul Newman. It's like a very
but
short list.
Do you think Tom Cruise could have been in this?
Oh, I think Tom Cruise as Nick Dunn is amazing.
Really?
Yeah, he's maybe a little short. There's something about the bulkiness of Affleck.
Tom Cruise doesn't work.
You think Clooney could have been in this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but 15 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think Cruise works because this is something we talked about on the Villains Pod a lot, but one thing about Nick is whether you're rooting for him or not, whether you like him or not, you have to be able to convince yourself that he can keep up with Amy.
Yeah.
You have to. Mm-hmm. Like that is essential to buying into their dynamic. And I don't know that you would believe that Tom Cruise was that savvy.
And
no shade to Tom Cruise.
I think in addition to that, you need somebody in this role who y'all mentioned, like he's already a bigger guy. Even when you see him on the poster, he's like got his back turned and these wide shoulders. You need to see that person rolled over and have his belly exposed. And it needs to be feel like a substantial thing. Mm-hmm. Tom Cruise is 4'11". It's not gonna work. George Clooney's a little too skinny. Like you need that mass. You need to be surprised that he's so vulnerable and like so just exposed at this moment.
And would have played video games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't see Tom Cruise like sitting down for a video game.
You don't think
Brad
Tom Cruise
Pitt
is a
been good?
Battlefield 3 guy?
No, I don't. The other thing Fincher said was that he had a chance to create a story where he could have a movie that was a mystery, then hand the baton off to the absurdist thriller, and then hand the baton off and become a satire. And he'd never seen that before. He wanted to give it a shot. Mm-hmm. And then he says it was different than what we actually shot. But that was why he took the movie. It was like, oh, this is interesting. This is 3 different movies in one movie. But then now it happened.
He gets close on all of those things, though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the criticism of the movie was that he didn't land the satire, that it got too ridiculous. And I never agreed with that. I disagree with virtually every review written about this movie, including Wesley Morris's, who obviously we adore him, but I never understood what people were talking about.
So the biggest, most interesting, just retrospective reading about it is how he did Amy, how he landed on Rosamund Pike. Reese Witherspoon, I'm going to do some half-ass internet research now. Reese Witherspoon obtains the film rights, decides to produce and play Amy, meets Fincher. I'm not sure what happens in the meeting, but Fincher's like, let's get somebody else. And normally the actor would be like, you're out. I'm going to play Amy. But somehow he Jedi mind tricked her into giving up Amy. Reese Witherspoon is Amy?
No. Not a...
Reese Witherspoon riding Neil Patrick Harris and covered in blood? I just don't see it.
No.
I'd be interested in seeing that. She's not... withholding enough, I think, for the part.
She's too earnest.
There's something open about her, and you always know what she's thinking. You don't always know what Amy's thinking.
I was at a lunch yesterday with a friend, and we were talking about this exact thing. And I think I don't think she can go dead-eyed enough. You need for everything to just be gone. Yeah. Reese Witherspoon, just a little too likable.
Yeah.
These names actually seem, sometimes I never know what to believe. I'm doing casting what ifs now just because it's important for this. They have Charlize, Natalie Portman, who I think
both of those would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlize.
Charlize would have been good.
But
Put
do we
Charlize
have
in anything.
Do we have
It's
too
gonna be
much
better.
baggage with her as an actress where now I have baggage with both actors?
I think that helps Rosamund Pike for
it
sure.
really helps it. Portman, Emily Blunt, who I think at that point we didn't know enough about. I think she could have been good.
Yeah.
Rooney Mara, who he had just worked with. Olivia Wilde, who hadn't really done a ton at that point. The weirdest one is Julianne Hough, the Dancing with the Stars lady, who apparently got far down the road.
She made a bid at a serious acting career, and it didn't really ever take
work.
off.
So Fincher said, I thought this is right in Sean's wheelhouse. He wanted an actress
I know
with
what
a
this is.
Faye Dunaway type of persona.
Yeah.
And he said, I wanted Faye Dunaway in Chinatown, where you think this person has experienced avenues of pain no one can articulate. So he settled on Rosamund Pike. He liked that she was 35, but you didn't know if she was 29 or 40. You just couldn't tell. Liked that she was an only child for some reason.
Sure.
'Cause he felt like Amy was an only child. And then he said,
Certainly.
I've seen her in 4 or 5 different movies over 10 years. Never got a beat on her. Never got a sense of who she was. I pride myself on being able to watch actors and sort of know instinctively what their utility belt is. And I don't have that with Rosamund. I don't know what she was building off of. There was an opacity there. Opacity?
Yeah.
There was an opacity there, and it was interesting. So basically, he's like, I saw her in 5 movies. I couldn't figure her out. She was perfect. I don't know how many directors would have seen that. I think that the natural move would have just been to get Charlize and call it a day. And be like, I have Charlize and Ben Affleck. We're good. Let's go.
I mean, he's always had an eye for unproven on the cusp talent. You know, Pitt in Seven and Eisenberg and Rooney Mara in The Social Network. And, you know, he cast early on Mahershala Ali and Benjamin Button. I mean, he's always had a phenomenal eye for interesting people. Taraji Henson even, who just did not have a big career before that movie. He senses what people will receive about someone really well. And like the things that we expect from them and then the things that they give us when they get on screen. So, I mean, she's an interesting person. I mean, I thought her career was going to go to a different place after this movie.
Me too.
She was nominated for an Oscar.
Shay and I liked her in Jack Reacher.
Yes, I like her.
She's
I like
good
her
in Jack
I like her in
Reacher.
everything.
That's kind of an embarrassing part, though. Like
is.
It is, but it was 2 years before this movie.
Yeah.
Shay, does baggage with a real celebrity hurt with a part like this? Because I think one of the reasons I like this movie is I didn't really have any baggage with her other than I remembered her in Jack Reacher. I was figuring her out as an actress as I'm watching the movie.
Yeah, with a part like this where you need to be like totally confused about a person and like I don't understand what's going on. Yes, it's the opposite with the Ben Affleck character. You need to root for this person implicitly. But with her, with this role, yeah, you need somebody you've never seen before. It just makes it scarier.
I feel like the biggest role that she had to that point was Pride and Prejudice, right?
That's right, Jane Bennett.
And
Guess what book they find in the bookshop where they fuck?
Which
Pride and Prejudice.
Is that in the book?
I think so, but I can't.
Because if it's not, and
remember.
that's a coy
Yeah.
nod to her role as Jane Bennett in Pride and Prejudice, that's interesting. And you know,
remember.
that's Jane Bennett. Also, her portrayal of Jane Bennett is like very closed off, very shaded. You don't really know what her intentions are. She's obviously quite beautiful, but she's not leaping out at you in the same way that through the first hour of this movie, you're like, who is Amy? Who is this person?
Listen, Jack Reacher was fucking awesome. So you want, but that was her best.
Do you remember the scene in Jack Reacher when Cruz comes out of the shower, no shirt on, and
Yeah.
and Rosamund Pike is there waiting for him, and she's like salivating over.
Yeah.
Like
it was super
nude
awkward.
Tom Cruise.
There were laughs in the theater during it. It's a good
53-year-old
unofficial comedy
Cruise
movie.
torso.
That's why he couldn't have been the Gone Girl one. They had like no sexual
Yeah,
chemistry.
that's true.
So she said she drew inspiration from Nicole Kidman in To Die For, Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct, the greatest performance of all time. Like, greatest performance of the last 100 years. And then she said, I thought this was fascinating. She studied Carolyn Bessette Kennedy
So smart.
to figure out how to kind of seem aloof and mysterious, but also like elegant.
Yeah, patrician
that-
beauty.
That got me on this whole Google deep dive on Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and just pictures of her. And I was like, oh, this totally makes sense.
That's smart.
I have no idea who that is.
JFK Jr.'s wife.
Still don't know.
Okay.
But all right.
Other stuff. This was Affleck's second Amy movie.
That's right,
Chasing
Chasing
Amy.
Amy.
Personal fave.
Yeah.
Not aging well.
Not top 10 not aging well from the 90s
Yeah.
movie.
Big fan though. At the time, I was like, wow,
I
this
have,
guy's
a new
really onto
number,
something.
I have a new number one for not aging well. The Crush with Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's on Amazon. She's 14 and somebody moves in and
Carrie Elwes.
They have a weird,
Carrie.
they have a weird kind of sexual chemistry, and then she starts.
Then he punch her. He punches her in that one, right?
That is not age well.
It's not what you want.
So Fincher said he explained the character to Ben. The character is someone who gets his feet run over by a steamroller, gets his ankles run over, then gets his shins run over, his knees, his pelvis, lower back. The funny thing is that he had already been through it already. He knows what it's like to be tossed by the 35-foot waves of public perception, and he has a great wit about it. The symbol of you becomes more important than your actual participation. Affleck's really talked intelligently about this over the years. Like, he would be a great 3-hour podcast about what happens.
What are you waiting for?
Well, he's got to want to do it. When people just see the Us Weekly stars just like us version of you versus the actual human being who's at your daughter's soccer game and the one who has diarrhea on a Thursday night. Like, he's the human being version versus like the perception of the person.
Yeah, and the entire role that the media plays in the story, it's just like they're deployed to be not only just the voyeurs, but like to make you think about the cost of tragedy porn, right? They're vampires. They're sucking up every single drop of the blood that Amy spilled herself and that anybody has ever spilled. And, there's that nugget out there that Fincher wanted Affleck because of the way he smiles. Like in pictures, and that moment obviously in the film when he's standing next to Amy's missing poster, and then later when the selfie was shot, like he just can't help himself. He has to try to appease, and then he has that speech to his mother-in-law about how he was raised to try to be polite, and like that's obviously a microcosm for who that character is and who both of those people are, obviously deployed in very different ways and ultimately wielded as weapons against each other. But the film, more than I agree with you, it's not really narcissism, but it is about identity and control. And there are two really scary things in life, right? One is what happens when you let somebody else see who you are.
Yeah.
Right? How can they then use that against you? And then the other half of that is facing the fact that you can maybe never really know another person truly and fully, ever. No matter how well you think you know somebody, there's going to be a moment in your life when you have to reconcile with the fact that they have surprised you and probably disappointed you. And that's ultimately just about not only who you really are, but how you position yourself for other people. And that's why the cool girl speech is such an iconic moment in the film. I'm sure we'll talk about that later, but what do you want other people to think? And how do you then continue to manipulate that? Like, the core of the relationship between Amy and Nick, and we should say, by the way, Amy is an actual psychopath. Like, something is mentally wrong with Amy Elliott Dunn. But the disappointing thing for them is not actually that they didn't measure up to what they each thought the other person would become. It's not about the future. It's about the past. It's that they weren't actually who they sold each other on being. And that's a bad feeling.
So it was a bad contract. You left out there's a third horrible thing that can happen to a human being.
Getting your throat slit
No.
0.2 seconds after climaxing.
Seeing a scorpion in the bathroom.
No, waiting at the front door for
It happened one time.
your food delivery order, and the guy just doesn't seem trustworthy, and you know what was going on in his car. I would add that.
I thought you were going to say someone spitting in your Mountain Dew.
Oh, maybe that might be it too. $61 million budget, made $369 million worldwide, Sean.
Nice.
Fincher's highest grossing film. Also a great IMDb description. I love descriptions on
Yes,
cable or whatever.
yes.
The IMDb for this is, with his wife's disappearance having become the focus of an intense media circus, a man sees the spotlight turned on him when it's suspected that he might not be innocent. It's great. Good summary. Rosamund Pike, nominated for Best Actress, which I had forgotten. You agree with that, Shea?
Absolutely.
Would you give her the title?
I would give her the title this year if they let me.
What happened to her, Sean? Is it the English thing?
No, she's a great actor. I mean, there's, as we've mentioned many times on the show, there's not enough good parts for women. She's 40 years old, which is a time when Hollywood starts making women make the exit and rather than the entrance. And she got her big break a little bit later in life. I mean, she was in a good movie last year called A Private War, which was about the foreign correspondent Marie Colvin, who was killed a few years ago, who wrote for Vanity Fair for years and put her life on the line. It was a really interesting, thoughtful, deep portrait of this person who lived a complex and hard life, and it's like a real all-in performance. And if a different company had made the movie, if like Warner Brothers made the movie, it would have been nominated for an Oscar, but it was a small company that made the movie. They couldn't platform it the way that they want to, so she doesn't get the break. And like so many of these things are based on, do you get cast in Gone Girl or not? You know, do you look like Faye Dunaway enough for David Fincher or not?
Well, she also she was in Beirut, the greatest airplane movie of 2018. Did you see Beirut?
I did not. I saw
Beirut's
Hostiles.
good.
Chris
Is
Ryan's
it?
fave.
Oh, Beirut's a great airplane and cable movie. Best actress that year, Julianne Moore won for Still Alice.
I disagree. It should. I love Julianne Moore. It should have gone to Rosamund.
That was an It's Time award.
Yeah.
That was for past performance.
Reese Witherspoon was in Wild. She was getting that too. The other ones, whatever. But I don't know. Still Alice. She was really good in that movie. I gotta say, I don't have a ton of problems with that one, but I think
No.
I think they're both winners.
It's a close game.
Yeah, it's a close one.
That movie is a tough sit, man. Still Alice.
Yeah, it's not like Blu-ray with 2 deleted scenes. It's like, I never want to think about this movie again. Fincher had an interesting quote about this movie and movies in general, which I thought was just funny for a podcast called The Rewatchables. It's like flipping through the channels and suddenly you see your graduation picture. It's not fun. It's horrible. This is him talking about seeing his own movies. It's not that you're not happy, but you can always make something better. I've seen it. But at some point, you just have to throw your hands up. Movies aren't finished. They're abandoned. And you have to make your peace with that. And then he confessed that anytime he rewatches a movie of his, he always thinks about how he could have gotten rid of 2 minutes there, 90 seconds here, and just goes nuts.
So, as you guys know, I worship David Fincher. There's a couple of reasons why. One, there's this very famous moment in an interview from the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo featurette, in which somebody asks him, like, why do you make movies? And he's like, well, all people are perverts. And I think it's important that we identify that and that we put that on screen. And so that's like my mission. And it's something that he does in every single movie if you look at it. And the other thing is that he's just a crazy control freak. And as a crazy control freak, I completely understand what he's talking about, but he obviously is also driving people to greatness, but also challenging them in a way that sometimes breaks people. Like Jake Gyllenhaal was broken by Zodiac. Ben Affleck was not broken by this movie. In fact, it was good for him to be challenged and do a part like this.
But you can make the case that Ben Affleck isn't the character that really needed to rise to that standard. That's the Amy character, the one who,
you
if
think
he's
he identifies?
projecting, all of the things that he prizes, the need to control, what is the limit of your own agency, right? And the ability to be the author of your own fate. That's Amy.
Do you think Fincher could break Mallory or no? 80
I
takes?
don't
You think she
so.
caves
I
or
think-
she just gets competitive?
Depends how
You're not
many
breaking me, David
bags of
Fincher.
Cheetos and like giant cheeseburgers are next to me on the passenger seat of the car.
I watched her and Jason one time record 2 lines from a podcast for like 45 minutes. So I think she'd be okay. I think she'd make it.
The whole thing about the legend of Fincher and the 99 takes and Social Network and the 80 takes for this and like 80 takes is just an incredible amount of takes. It would be like if we did this first 20 minutes of this podcast 80 times.
Yeah.
I just think I would lose my mind. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you motherfucker. That last take was good.
But it's not just the 20 minutes, it's the little stuff. It's every insert shot. It's every shot of, the Punch and Judy handle that you see in the frame. I mean, think about how many disparate parts go into making a movie like this. He's got hundreds and hundreds of shots in the movie, and he's doing those over and over and over again in search of perfection.
You know who I bet never let him down? The cat. What a
Good
steady
cat.
presence in the film.
Good cat in this movie.
Shouts to my dude Bleecker.
I was worried about who won the movie when we get to that at the end,
Spoiler
that the
alert.
cat's going to be in there.
Spoiler alert.
All right, most rewatchable scene. This is interesting. The first hour of this movie is watchable, but it's not like it just kind of heats up from a rewatchability standpoint
Yeah.
right around the big turn. But I really like when Affleck comes home and discovers Amy's missing and calls the police, and everything they do where they show the neighbor across the street and
The
just little
Post-it
stuff.
notes.
Yeah, and just him looking around, and then the cops come, and the lady's a little suspicious because in the back of her head, she's like, well, anytime a wife's missing or murdered, it's usually the husband. So they're just kind of tiptoeing around. I just like everything about the meticulousness of that scene.
Yeah, I love it too. I mean, it makes it seem like this movie's going to be a whodunit. and it's not really a whodunit, but it
No.
sets you up for feeling like, okay, what actually happened here? We don't know. And if you haven't read the book, I imagine that the movie is like pretty shocking as the reveals come.
So
Yeah,
I hadn't read the book, and I deliberately avoided all the spoilers and all that, so I was shocked.
Yeah.
I think
Next
you also
one.
have to, with that scene, you have to kind of instantly believe that Rhonda Boney knows what she's doing.
oh yeah.
Because she is actually like a really central figure in the entire story, right down to the end, where she's kind of like your last life raft for thinking that
Yeah.
somebody might continue to
Please,
pursue
somebody
Amy.
figure this out.
Yeah.
And then when even she gives up, it's like a pretty devastating feeling. So when she right away starts placing the Post-it notes, on the little spatter of blood, the way that she looks at the iron, like what is an iron? It is just a part of your everyday life. It is a thing in your home. It is by definition an object that you don't think about. And the way that she stops and says, this is plugged in, this is on. It's by a dress that represents romance and the desire to please your partner. Something is up here, like right away. And the two dudes are like,
Yeah.
I love that part. It's great.
Shay, get rid of your iron when you leave your house. Just the investigator will look at that right away. The outdoor Amy rally with the protesters is
That's a fun twist.
just a really good scene with a good twist, and I like how it's filmed. It's all building to that scene where it's really now going to turn for Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
And he shoots the wide shot. There's a ton of people. It feels like another bullshit. My wife's out there. I hope I can find her. And then the turn.
I
And it's
love
really good.
I love Casey Wilson as Noelle.
Yeah.
She's great. She's
Really
really
funny.
good. It's the whole reason I started watching Black Monday. I was like, is that? I think that's her. Let me
Yeah.
watch that show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brief cup of coffee on SNL.
yeah, Casey Wilson is good as the extremely dumb neighbor who is seduced into
Pregnant idiot.
Amy's
Tough
big plan.
luck.
A lot of good shots in that whole scene, though. The shot where they go to Emily Ratajkowski, where she mouths the words back at him while he's saying how much he loves Amy. That shot of Ben Affleck running away from the cameras in slow motion, like an aging, like a lumbering old quarterback, basically trying to get away from the rush. That whole thing, everything is so smartly staged.
So the next scene I got for Rewatchable is the big reveal, which happens at the minute 7 mark of the movie, which is a long time. Like
1 hour and 7 minutes.
1 hour,
Yeah,
7 minutes
yeah.
in. Like some movies are like just about to get ready to wrap up. Like we did Bloodsport for the Rewatchables. 107, it's like Von Damme's doing the split on the temple and he's just
kidding,
about
right?
ready to go kill Chong Li.
It's a long
Leading-
movie.
It is a long
Leading
movie.
to, I went on IMDb. This is Amy's monologue.
Mhm.
That's how long it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I mean, it's like 5 pages of stuff. She's narrating it.
But significantly shorter than what's in the book with the whole, that's sort of the cool girl explication, right? It comes in that moment too.
But it starts out, I'm so much happier now that I'm dead. And if I don't know the
Boom.
story, I think, oh, so she's dead and she's narrating this. And I hate when movies do that.
Yep.
And then it's like, technically missing, soon to be presumed dead, gone. Still not sure. And then slowly over the course of this monologue, and she starts explaining everything she did. America loves pregnant women. It's so hard to spread your legs. It's hard faking a pregnancy. She goes through the whole thing. Mal, I'm gonna let you read this in bold. Just do the whole paragraph first.
the right away.
Just do the whole paragraph first. Just do it. Come on.
My dad listens to these podcasts.
Come on. Just read the whole thing because it's the
I
most
vote
important
against
paragraph.
this. Mallory, I vote against this.
You read what you feel is appropriate,
Yeah,
Mallory.
you do what you want. It's a free country. You can bleep yourself.
I got it. All right. It's just the bold part?
Yeah,
The bottom bold part here or the top? This part?
that whole part.
So this is after, well, you skipped some of the iconic lines.
Keep going or throw
Because
in
there's,
stuff.
you befriend a local idiot, to fake a murder.
I
You have
hate
to have
that part.
discipline.
I hate that
et cetera,
part
et
so
cetera. This is
much.
great. This is the
Shay feels bad for the local
I
idiots.
do. I really did. It really just got me.
this is the waxing my pussy part that Bill wants me to read.
No, it wasn't
here
just
right
that.
now.
It was the whole graph.
And for him, I'll admit, I was willing to try. I wax stripped my pussy raw. I drank canned beer watching Adam Sandler movies. I ate cold pizza and remained a size 2. I blew him semi-regularly. I lived in the moment. I was fucking game. I can't say I didn't enjoy some of it. Nick teased out of me things I didn't know existed, a lightness, a humor, an ease. But I made him smarter, sharper. I inspired him to rise to my level. I forged the man of my dreams. We were happy pretending to be other people. We were the happiest couple we knew. And what's the point of being together if you're not the happiest?
Mm.
Were there not salons in New York?
That's
my
basically
question.
the whole movie in one paragraph. A couple that learned to like the identity of being a couple more than actually being together.
Well, okay, I'll take a little bit of issue with that.
Okay, go.
Um,
What's the point of being together if you're not the happiest?
how personal to get here. This is complicated.
Well, don't get too personal.
I once had a very interesting conversation with my dad when I was about to get married, and he sat me down. And my dad is not the kind of person who would sit you down and give you a speech, but he sat me down and gave me a speech. And the big takeaway from the speech was, Sean, people change. Don't ever forget that. And I think that Nick changes a lot and in some ways gets worse and becomes a less good partner to Amy. And Amy gets crazier. It's very obvious that she becomes more insane. Now, she's doing things, we're led to believe she does terrible things to Skeet Ulrich's character, that she has a history of manipulative behavior. But these two people are changing and they're growing apart. And it's not just that like there's the presumption of happiness, because I think people that are attracted to each other when they first meet, sparks, they have sex, they start dating, and then they change. And
They walk through a sugar cloud together.
yeah, and certainly like you can romanticize your memories of what it's like to be with a person, but like you guys know, like you put on a little bit of a performance when you first meet somebody. You're pitching yourself in a slightly different light. You want to be slightly more appealing than you actually are.
I don't do that on the Rewatchables. So, this is the other key to the movie where she says, you think I'd let him destroy me and end up happier than ever? No fucking way. He doesn't get to win.
Yeah.
Grown-ups work for things grown-ups pay. Grown-ups suffer consequences.
Then
The battle of marriage, Shea. You
Yes.
have the happiest marriage I know.
It's really great. It's really good. I don't know. I'm being serious.
It's funny that you love this movie so much when it's like the opposite of a happy marriage.
yeah, it's
It
fun,
ends with
it's
her
fun to
covered
watch.
in blood coming back.
It's fun to watch and be like, I'm so glad that's not me right now. That's how I feel.
The next rewatchable scene, I just love Lola Kirk in this movie. I'm just throwing it out there.
Incredible.
She's the runaway Dion Waiters Award winner, unless you want to have the Tyler Perry argument with me. The pool scene with her when they first start, and then she does the memory of Affleck touching Emily's face and the whole thing, and just all of those scenes with her, I just love. So I'm just shouting all those out.
Love her.
Next one is Nick's interview with Celia Ward's character, who I thought was funny, who was in The Fugitive, which was also a wife murder thing.
That's right.
But that whole thing where it's like, oh, this is a disaster. He's going to give an interview, and then you actually don't know what happened. And then it turns out he does well.
It was a little bit like not showing the bank heist in Reservoir Dogs,
Yeah.
where you like cut right to them in the car, and she's like, I can't believe how fucking good you were, And then we see a little bit of it
We
later
get some
on.
later.
Yeah.
It comes back. Amy's return to Nick's house is an amazing scene.
Amazing. We were watching that. Laramie and I were watching that. And again, I had no idea what was happening in this movie. Laramie I had already read the book, but I'm just experiencing all this for the first time. And I see them pull up, and she comes stumbling out of the car, still covered in blood. And I was sitting there, and it's just like, this motherfucker. Like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Every 4 minutes, it was like she was doing something that I just couldn't believe was happening right now.
Great Affleck with the "you bitch" in her ear. And then the last scene leading up to the TV interview, I'm not a quitter. And then their whole mano-a-mano thing, and she does her thing and blah, blah, blah. And then cut to the twin sister just crying in the kitchen, like devastated.
Yeah, that's a tough moment.
This woman's a monster. How do you not get rid of this person?
It's just an amazing Carrie Coon performance in this movie.
My pick.
Wait, there are more.
My pick. Well, I'm gonna let you jump in, but my pick is just Amy returning from that point on. I'm never not watching that movie if this is on and Amy's about to go back to her house. I'm just in for the rest of the movie. So that's my pick.
Returning to Nick, not the reveal.
Covered in blood. From that point on, I just love that part of the movie. I'm just
I
so
much
in.
prefer the beginning.
Okay.
That's interesting.
What else did you have for rewatchables?
I have a few like smaller ones from earlier in the film. I really like his first police interview. But when he's like, she's a voracious reader, you just realize how little he knows about her.
Yeah.
And how, and I love that, like that kind of instant lack of trust that's seeping in with Boney, where you don't know if she has friends, you don't know what she does all day, and you don't know your wife's blood type. And then Gil is like, you sure y'all are married? Because you have to actually have seeds of doubt. Like for the first, as you said, hour and 7 minutes of the movie, you have to believe that maybe he really did it. You
I have
haven't
a
called your wife's
confession.
parents yet? Things like that.
I don't know my wife's blood type.
I don't know like my own blood
I
type.
don't-
let
yeah,
alone
I don't know
Adam's.
mine.
I don't like when they threw that at Affleck. I was like, I just kind of looked in the mirror for a second.
I don't know mine. My
Realize
kids.
I didn't know my wife that
I don't
well.
know.
That's
Know
a
what her
tough
blood type
one.
is.
I don't think that's important.
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
But it's all about just making him feel ashamed.
I can't remember my own social security number at this point. I'm gonna remember somebody's blood type. Come on.
I think the press conference is a really good scene too, because
Yeah.
the dichotomy between Nick basically saying 4 words totally devoid of anything resembling sincere emotion or affection for this person. And then, of course, the iconic posing, hamming it up, smile. And then the contrast between that energy and vibe and the way that her parents, and we haven't talked about the parents yet and the role they play in the story, but they go into like stump speech mode. They have all these points they want to hit. And even though her parents they have a smaller role in the movie than they do in the book, you have to understand, because you do have to have some empathy for her, that she was a commodity in her own life. Like her parents sold her childhood. And of course they have this whole list of talking points ready. They're used to turning her into something that other people can digest. And that does make you sympathetic for her. So I think that scene is important for understanding both of those relationships. The Desi murder,
Yeah.
like,
Has to be.
has to be in here. You just find it too unpleasant.
It's really unpleasant.
I don't like it.
I've seen Gone
It's the
Girl.
most iconic scene in the movie.
It's amazingly staged.
Well, that
It's-
doesn't have to be the most rewatchable. It's,
No.
I mean, most iconic is there for the most rewatchable.
Well, that whole sequence where
sequence.
she starts, essentially framing him,
Right.
Yeah.
is so confusing at first, and you're trying
Yeah.
to figure out what's going on.
When she
and the
untucks
bottle
his
and-
shirt, and then so he's caught on the security cameras
Yeah.
tucking it back in.
Exactly. Yeah. There's just so many little choices there. I don't know. That's a pretty cool scene. I mean, it's obviously grotesque.
It's an
what happens, but
exceptionally
it's
well done
beautiful.
scene, but I don't know. I have some issues.
Yeah, I've seen this movie, 7-8 times already, like front to back. Let me just watch the whole thing. And still, I watched it this morning again. And when that scene happened, when she slices his throat, I was still like, oh my God, I can't look at this.
What's most rewatchable for you?
I'm always going to be connected to the reveal scene.
Me too.
Okay.
If only because, again, I didn't know what was happening. At the beginning of the movie, I was like fairly confident that he did kill her. And he's doing a good job of like kind of pretending, but not really. And we're gonna get the turn that we've seen in 20 other movies where he like turns toward the camera and you see his face go evil. And you're like, oh, she's in the basement, or her body's in the basement, or whatever. So to watch that sort of get upended, and then listen to her explain everything, and you're like, my hands are on my head. She has the great line in there where at the beginning she's like, America loves pregnant women. And then right after that, she calls she calls Noelle a pregnant idiot. And I felt like, I was like, do Americans really love pregnant women? And then she called her a pregnant idiot. I was like, how fucking dare you
Yeah.
say that?
Yeah.
Like,
And then the movie ends with her revealing her pregnancy. You know,
God.
the whole thing is very neatly
it's
tied.
beautiful.
I think also all the seduction scenes between the two of them at the beginning are really good. They're meet cute at the party, and then his proposal at the Amazing Amy book party when he sits down and poses as a journalist. Like, all that stuff is really good. And also, like,
Poses as a journalist, harsh.
well, I mean, he's not
Writer
in that
for a
capacity,
men's
but
magazine.
as a writer for a men's magazine in the time when this is essentially set, like, there's a lot of accuracy about what's portrayed here.
Well, the interesting thing about those scenes, and it comes up in the reveal, which is also my pick for most rewatchable scenes, it's just an incredible sequence, is that she references those moments. She says, start with the fairy tale early days. Those are true and they're crucial.
Right.
And they are crucial because it's not only the foundation for them, it's the foundation for us with them. You do have to buy into believing in their love, like, at all. Otherwise, you're not invested and you don't care. But the thing about that scene, it's not only the shock, and it is like, it's an all-time great twist, the depths that she has gone to, the meticulous steps that she has taken, and the pride that she feels, the vindication and the validation. Writing every diary entry with different pens to make it seem like she wrote them over stretches of time, 300 of them. That's an astonishing thing that a person would do. Watching her sit on the floor of their kitchen, a home that she never wanted to be in, right? A home in his hometown by his family that she had to go to after they had to leave their brownstone and their money and the fallacy of their life that they thought they opted into together. And she has an IV that she put into her own arm, draining her blood, and she's reading a book on the floor. Like, it's just this fascinating thing where you are kind of in awe. You feel a little bad for her because he cheated on her. He is a cheater. But also, you're like, she's dangerous. This is a dangerous lunatic who is willing to do things that are uncommon.
I like that she takes a quick shot at him when she's like, clean poorly, like he would. I'm like, golly, you just, just gonna keep on going.
She knows him.
Draining your own
Physical
blood while you
transformation.
sit in the kitchen and read a book is not even one of the top 5 weirdest things she did in this movie, and that's fucking weird.
It's true.
It's super weird.
I would pay a certain amount of money to have somebody do just the first part of the movie, and it's just a rom-com between those two because they're so good.
I think they made that rom-com. It was called He's Just Not That Into You. And Ben Affleck was in it. What's aged the best? I like his unshaven video game swoon.
Yeah.
Same.
Because I feel like that might have happened in real life right around like 06 for him.
That's a very true to life moment for a lot of people.
It really
I
is.
think.
It's good. It's like I'm just bummed out and my living room's a mess and I'm playing video games.
What's the laptop for? Laptopping. That's a great moment.
The twin sister is great. Carrie Coon, first role ever. That she's good. I actually believe they're related.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah, they're much different in age. I think he's 10 years older than her or something like that. She's great. I mean, she went on to be the star of The Leftovers, obviously.
I like the first gathering when the lady takes the selfie with them and then turns on him. It's just really well done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's happened to Ben Affleck in real life. Right?
Yeah, and that actress, she was on that show Episodes.
Yeah,
Anybody
she was
watch
on-
Episodes?
yeah.
She was so great on that show. I don't even know what her name is. She's really
I
a
have
really
her
funny
coming
actress.
up in a later
Oh, okay.
category. Yeah.
The Nancy Grace character, Ellen Abbott, that was well done. The detective team of Kim Dickens and Patrick Fugit,
Yeah,
almost
man.
famous guy. He's back. He's grown up.
William Miller.
Nick gives his sister the Mastermind board game and then
Yes.
admitted when he was doing press for this movie that he threw it in there as a red herring, no significance at all for his own amusement because he thinks it's funny when he's at critic screenings and they're like frantically writing down the Mastermind board game and he's just like, these fucking assholes.
I don't believe that for a second.
No, I think it's true.
Because
That's what he said.
I don't. I just think that's. I
disagree.
don't believe that. I think that's
I'm just quoting him.
that's intentional. And
Yeah.
you had to think about all the other board games.
Yeah,
all the board games.
they
have
show 3
significance.
other games on there. They show, I don't even remember what they were. One of them was a Ouija board, though. That was like the last
Risk
one.
was in there, right?
Well,
one
life
of-
is there, and he has that.
Yeah. Oh, it was Let's Make a Deal.
That's why I don't. Right. Let's make a
Let's
deal.
Make a Deal is the first one, and that's them making the deal like we're going to be in this partnership together. Then there was another game, and then the last one was a Ouija board, and that's like her talking to him from the dead.
The reason
it
I
was
don't
all
believe
on
it is
purpose.
because they actually do like make a direct reference in the movie, not to Mastermind, but when they're playing Life, and I forget the exact line, but he's basically like, Life, I forgot what the point is, right? And it's this meta commentary on how all of these things connect. The Mastermind thing is deliberate. It definitely. What is Mastermind?
Let's bring him in. David Fincher.
It's a game, but it's a game about entrapment and strategy. It's a game about
never played it.
being smarter than your opponent. I used to play it with my family every single weekend.
Oh, that's
and I
shocking to hear.
fucking
Yeah, right.
loved winning.
Weirdo.
You never played Mastermind?
I didn't.
You would love it.
I didn't.
My family stopped playing board games with me because I cheat. I don't like to lose.
I cheat all the time,
There's
too.
a lot of like Scrabble, like some blank tiles that
I
weren't
cheat at
actually
Uno.
blank.
I don't
all the
cheat.
time.
I don't cheat, but I'm too competitive, and it's
I'm
no
always the
fun to play
banker in
anything with me.
Monopoly. I steal money from the bank. The musical score.
Yeah.
So Fincher, he sent a brief to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross based upon a visit he paid to a spa, and the music was supposed to relax him, and instead he thought it was creepy, and the music made him feel uncomfortable. And that's what he wanted. He wanted passive and relaxing music that actually instills a sense of dread. Mission
Perfect.
accomplished.
Mhm.
It does feel like you're in a spa where you might just get stabbed in the aorta as you're getting a massage.
It's an all-time 2 for 2 for Reznor and
Yeah,
Atticus.
Social
the
Network.
Social Network, and this. I mean, that's just an amazing.
Do you think Reznor, the musical scores, is actually a bigger part of his legacy now than Nine Inch Nails? Is it at least arguable? I mean, he's been in a lot of
Ask
major
Robert
movies
Mays.
with like
Yeah.
really standout musical scores, though.
I think he definitely sits among the most celebrated film composers of his time, but he's still, I mean, he's the frontman for Nine
Did I
Inch
ever tell you my
Nails.
theory on this?
Sure.
In ER, I think the single best ER episode of all time, where Kelly Martin's character gets stabbed by the crazy person in the hospital, and they play Closer, the Nine Inch Nails song, as just the instrumentals part of it, and it works so well. I think he was like, I should just do this. I bet I would get paid.
That's another thing about the Desi murder scene. the music.
Yeah, when
the
it comes
score,
on,
Yeah.
the
Pulsating orb
It reminds
sound.
me of like at the end of Annihilation.
I was just gonna say
That
it's
sound, like it's like something. It actually feels like it's emanating from inside of your chest.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Like if the room is filling with
yeah.
and it's a sound from a
terror.
different movie, and that's what really takes you out. I mean, that's the
Mm-hmm.
hardest left turn you could possibly take, even more so than the reveal about what she's been doing and her plan. Like that murder is when we're like, we're in a really fucked up movie right now.
Yeah, I had that in Which Stays the Best, just how meticulous the plan was, which we talked about already. Like the pouring wine on herself and untucking his shirt and all like the just crazy things you would have to think about to pull that off, knowing where all the security cameras are. Yeah.
Interesting.
What else has aged the best?
Well, I just would argue that point. I think
What?
that that's where Amy loses her meticulous nature. Everything that she does with Nick stems from how methodical she is. She's been planning that since she discovered that he was cheating, right? The inciting incident, obviously they were very unhappy already and the loss of the money and the problems, but she sees him with
In
Andy.
the snow.
Yeah. And it's not just that she realizes that he's cheating, it's that she realizes that he's taken this like sacred moment in their own history, the lip wipe, the sugar cloud, and he's replicated this special thing, this core part of their origin story and their shared DNA, and he's done this with another woman, and not only another woman, but I mean, look at her, right? Like, could there be a more threatening presence in anybody's
Right.
life? And so she's plotting every step of that. The calendar with a, kill self ? Like every single step of that to the very end, to her actual demise is plotted. The stuff with Desi is purely reactive and it's instinctual. And that's why actually I think the end of the movie, the part that you said is your favorite, kind of doesn't work in a lot of ways. Like even though I love the movie.
I just like watching it. I don't even think about like
She
I
thought
just
that
enjoy the entertainment.
yeah, it's
value of
great,
it.
but she ultimately thought that she could make Desi another one of her puppets, and then she realized that she was in a dollhouse that he had built for her. She was the prisoner there, not the other way around, and so she had to find a way to get out of that.
See,
And
I
it's
felt
sloppy.
I felt like she went there knowing what she was going to do the whole time.
I don't think
And
that.
No.
once
No.
she lost all her money,
It's an interesting unanswerable question. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's a lot to unpack about the last 40 minutes of the movie about picking nits and unanswerable questions.
You see it in her face when he's doing the interview and he makes the line about the woodshed. And she's like, oh shit, like he's like Mallory said, he can keep up with me. He's smart. I need to get back to that.
that's how I feel too.
I would disagree with you, Mallory, surprise, about her being sloppy in the end. I think this is a good example of showing exactly how dangerous she could be. Because I feel like if anybody had enough time, if anybody had 8 weeks, you could come up with a pretty good plan to like fake a death. But she did this like, I realize right now I need to get back to him. How do I get out of this situation? How do I get out of this situation without implicating myself? And she just came up with an instant plan just
But
like that.
We don't know how many
20-something
days it was though.
20-something days pass.
Right.
We do
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she hasn't had the makeover when she's watching the interview yet, and she has had the makeover when that happens. She's lost the weight, she's cut her hair, she's dyed her hair, she's used the tweezers, like all of that. So she's been putting the ropes around her wrists to build up the markings. That part of it is planned. It's more that like she hasn't accounted for the questions she's going to have to face when she gets back. Like,
I don't think you can say that because she got away with it.
but that's because the FBI agents should be jailed, not because she did a good job.
Well, she did a great job.
But there is a complex thing happening in that sequence too. The question of, believing women and
Right.
survivors, and the way that the FBI, which historically has not taken that approach with people who have suffered serious trauma, and that is a commentary on that experience. And it's like a pretty acid-dipped commentary that is coming from a female writer to put that sequence in there and to show that there is like potentially a level of ignorance happening around the examination of some of these things. It's really fraught and complicated in a movie that is otherwise this kind of like
You love
whirling.
complicated
I do.
movies.
I
That's
love
your
that.
favorite.
It is.
That's your wheelhouse. Any other What's Aged the Best?
The side dick. Just it's a great
know
thing that
what's aged the
happened.
best,
Wait,
guys?
Well,
we're not
no,
going to talk
we
about
should
that?
we should talk about
All
that.
right, well,
But
you got 2 minutes on
also,
side.
nobody ever talks about this, but you get to see Desi's dick too when
You do.
when she gets
When
off
she
of
slides off,
Have you
soaked
been-
in.
him. I paused it.
Free-framing a
I
lot,
paused
yeah.
it to see like, is this how many dicks are in here? What's aged the best? So every time you lob one of these categories up, I'm going to send it in Amy's direction. I think Rosamund Pike's performance as Amy Dunn, which will live forever, has aged the best. I don't think anything can compete with that.
Twincest. We get a Twincest reference, and then we had years of Twincest on Game of Thrones happening along with this, obviously.
That's
so
right.
Incest.
You know what's aged
big
really
era
well
for Twincest.
is Affleck putting on a Mets hat That's just some elite shit. You know, when he's walking through the airport and he puts the Mets hat on and he wouldn't put on the Yankees hat. You know, that great story. That's
It's
just
great.
I have a
aging
nitpick
fantastic.
about that though. Put on a Cardinals hat. You're wearing a Cardinal shirt in half the movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Maybe he just bought it at the airport.
I like that Fincher was so upset Affleck didn't follow his directions on that. It's like, look, man, in my head, it's a fucking Yankee hat. You put the Yankee hat on. And Affleck said, no fucking way.
It's a great
Actually
fight.
arguing about it.
Really great fight.
I have for what's age the best. I agree with you on Rosamund Pike and the musical score. I'm always in awe of the musical score in this movie. And then when it kicks in, when Desi gets murdered.
Those are great picks.
I think
so good.
I think you might disagree with me about this, but I think every single small role is perfectly cast.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that has
I'm with
aged
it.
really well.
I'm
Like
with
all
you
of
on
these
that.
people.
I think it's just the twist.
What's age the worst? Now, stay with me on this because I'm going to bring it around. The big twist in the middle has actually aged the worst because in the theater, if you didn't read the book, it was the best part of seeing the movie in the theater. But now you know it's coming. But in the theater, it was like it was one of those moments, and you can't recapture that on the 10th viewing. You know?
When I saw it, a guy in my theater literally went, "Oh shit!"
But you can appreciate it in a different way.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's aged the best. Is because
yeah, I think it's both.
Yeah,
I think
just-
you can put it in each category.
just like a
The shock value of it is aged the worst.
right. Like when I read, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire for the 947th time, it won't be because I don't know that, spoiler alert, Voldemort's going to rise out of the cauldron, right? It's because every single detail along the way there, I can appreciate anew or see with some sort of new perspective that I've gained from everything that came after that. So
That's the whole point of this podcast.
yeah, it's great. Exactly. There you go.
Another what's aged the worst, the internet reacting to this
just
movie.
all of the internet.
This was one of the first times with the internet and movies, and now we've just seen it in the worst way possible with the new Tarantino movie, where people taking art and just pulling in other shit into it and then arguing about it and using it as a way to be like, look at this. Here's my outrage.
It's
I remember specifically with this being like, dude, it's a movie about a crazy lady who tried to frame her husband and then came back to him, and it's really fucked up, and there's a lot of shit going on. And if that's it.
I think it's reasonable to say that there's more to it than that. I think it's okay to try to use criticism as a way to kind of understand society by looking at art. Like that's a big thing in the world. It happens on this podcast all the time.
And we've just done it for the last hour.
Yeah.
This was different though. This was like, how dare you? This is irresponsible. It's like, I don't know. Art being irresponsible, I have a tough one with.
It's been interesting. This is true for the book as well, but to hear Gillian Flynn engage with some of the criticism specifically around the sexual politics of the film or of the story and around Amy as a character, and
which she dealt with when the book came out too, right?
Yes. And I think that the, very simplified, boiled down version of her response to that is it's actually important to show that women can be murderous, can be violent. Like,
anyone can be a psycho.
Exactly.
It's not just like men in movies that are fucking psychos. That was the whole point of this movie.
Yeah, I think an
It's like you
inversion
never
of a certain
know.
expectation there is actually fairly compelling.
Yeah, when
They're also, but the other thing there is that neither of them is a good person. That's important to say. Like, they've both made a ton of mistakes. It's not necessarily like about measuring or grading those mistakes against each other, right? Like, does the fact that we debated this on Villains, does the fact that Nick cheated on Amy, which is a transgression, that is a violation of a sacred trust, does that give her the right to frame him for her murder and then go on to...
I vote yes.
Yeah.
I vote yes.
I said no. To then go on and do everything that follows from that, which results in actual loss of life and murder, framing Desi for rape in addition to actually killing him. And then we haven't even talked about the baby. She actually, we mentioned it, but that is in some ways the most fucked up thing that she does. She is bringing
absolutely.
a life into the world. She's having a child. A person is going to be born and live and grow up in that household because she
And that person will be Satan.
refuses to let go. Yeah, this is actually
This is
the
the new David
prequel
Omen.
for
Rosamund's baby.
This is Good Omens.
The murder is just brutal. It's aged the worst for me. I just have a tough time from a rewatchable standpoint. Like, oh, cool. Here's the part where Neil Patrick's gonna be brutally murdered.
Do you know that it's about the differences in the book to the movie with the murder scene? That it doesn't happen that way in the book. So they have sex, obviously, because she has to have his semen inside of her for the rape kit examination. But she poisons him. So she's giving him sleeping pills and then kills him off page, basically. So we get the sex scene, some of the prep, the bottle, the wrappings, but then it's just a line about they'll find his body drained, the bed soaked in blood, the knife that I dropped by the floor. So it's a knife instead of a box cutter, which is also just like less premeditated and violent. It's more like I grabbed this thing in the kitchen.
Yeah, it sets up that perfect
But
Affleck
letting him
moment,
fall
though.
asleep and then killing him.
When he asked Patrick Fugit how'd she get her hands on a box cutter.
Yeah, no, it's
just
great.
such a great.
It's time. Neil Patrick Harris, the casting. It's a what's age the worst for me. I think he sucks in this movie.
Oh my God.
I go flat out, capital S.
No.
Sucks.
Why?
I just think he sucks.
But
I don't
what about
believe
it?
his character. I don't believe they have any chemistry at all. I don't think he's really a good actor. I think he's a sitcom actor. I thought it was weird that he was in this movie in the first place.
But do you think they're
he's a
supposed
sitcom actor, game show host?
Do you think they're supposed to have chemistry though?
Yeah,
No.
I don't think so.
I think that's the whole
Well,
point.
how about this? Put a movie actor in there. He's not a movie actor.
He's great in this.
Like,
he's
Put in the other fucking dude from How I Met Your Mother. Maybe he should have been in this too. Let's make a TV sitcom.
Josh Radnor as that
Just
guy.
Josh
It's pretty
Radnor.
funny. That would also work. I think you need somebody who
Give me at least like Zach Braff. Give me like an annoying guy that I want to see. I just can't get out of that's Neil Patrick Harris the whole time. He has too much baggage with him for me to think of him as Desi. It's always Neil Patrick Harris. That's my thing.
He really evinces like weak, privileged, waspy cornball.
He checks
Good. Do that with
desperate.
Do that with Toby Maguire.
He checks
Do it
off
with a
all the
real actor
boxes
who has
that you know.
gravitas.
Tobey Maguire
No.
would work.
This
All
guy's
right.
But I think you're not supposed to think that they have anything resembling sincere organic chemistry. It's that this is a person who's been obsessed with her forever. It's also a reminder
I just think
that
he's bad. I think he's outacted in scenes.
That
he's
may
in
be
scenes
true.
where it's like
But
he's
she's
just
like-
he's not a Fincher actor.
that's true, but she's also supposed to outclass him.
Yeah. But this is the best performance we've seen in whatever.
It's American. I'll have my own opinion.
You're entitled. You're entitled to that opinion.
Another what's age the worst. Wesley
God.
Morris's review. I can't wait till next time I talk to him and make
Oh,
fun
you
of
wrote
him.
this down too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I remember reading it after the movie came out on Grantland and being like, I'm with Wesley 9 out of 10 times, and this is the 10th.
This is a brilliant piece of movie criticism.
Oh, it's great.
It's just with a bad opinion inside of it.
Yeah.
This piece was nominated for a National Magazine Award. It's incredible film criticism, and the things that he wends into the piece are astonishing.
It's great.
It's really sophisticated.
I
It's
disagree.
It's just he walks away being like, this movie's not good, which is insane. It's so obviously good.
At Rembert's wedding, I'm going to argue with him about it for a good hour
Great.
after I have 3 drinks. Casting what ifs. We did most of them except
Wait, can I add one to the what's age
Let's
the
do it.
worst? I would like to add because I wrote this down in my notes. What's age the worst is Bill Simmons saying that Neil Patrick Harris was bad.
that was also my what's age the worst. Casting what ifs. Fincher cast Emily Ratajkowski on recommendation from Ben Affleck.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
It's amazing. I have multiple ellipses in my
Let's-
notes after I wrote that down.
Let's move to the next category.
Honestly, shout out Ben Affleck. That's just dope. He saw that video and he was like, let's put that person in the movie. That's awesome.
Be like, Mallory, I have a new idea for a football writer for us. It's Emily Ratajkowski. She's going to be covering the NFC. She'll be great. Let's do some podcasts.
Oh, boy.
All right. Best that guy, aka the Joey Pants Award. It's got to be Patrick Fugit, right? He's that guy from Almost Famous. Do most people know it's Patrick Fugit?
There's a handful
He's
of them
grown up
in this,
Almost
though.
Famous guy. Who would you go with?
Well, Missy Pyle, I think, who plays Ellen Abbott,
Oh, yeah.
who's the Nancy
That's a
Grace
good
type.
that guy.
You know,
Yeah, that's a good
she's
one.
in a lot of stuff.
That's that lady.
She's that lady. I mean, Boyd Holbrook is in this movie
Yeah.
for 1 minute.
But he's transcended that status now, right?
Yeah, he's
yes,
Boyd Holbrook.
yes. But
Yeah.
when you see him in the movie, you forget that he was in the movie, so it takes you back to when he was at that.
No, you're
guy.
right. It's the Nancy Grace lady because I had no idea what her name was until you just said
You
it.
see Boyd, and right away you're like, sure, I'll do meth with you. Why not?
Yeah.
This is where I had the Shauna Kelly character, the Kathleen Rose Perkins, because she's in episodes, she's in Colony, she's in You're the Worst.
Oh,
like
Colony too,
you've
yeah.
seen her in a lot of TV shows over the year,
Yeah.
and she does have one of those faces where you're like, oh, I definitely have seen her in something. What was it? And it takes a minute.
When I saw her in episodes, I was like, this person should be really famous.
She was great in episodes.
Why is she not a big comic actress? And she's great in the 1 minute that she's in of this movie.
Casey Wilson for me.
She's
No,
Is she
she's
too
Casey Wilson.
famous? I feel like if you're an SNL
She was
cast member,
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Saul Rubinek, they knew award.
That's
for,
where we bring in Casey Wilson.
for best overacting.
Yeah.
I had Casey Wilson. I also had Rosamund Pike. Kind of goes for it like 2 times. Like ratchets it up maybe 10% too much. But I think Casey
I'm the
Wilson.
cunt you married speech is she's
bringing
getting
it.
after it.
The Neil Patrick Harris Award for Why the Fuck Are You in This Movie? That
Wait.
goes to Neil Patrick Harris.
Wait.
I just created that right now. Why are you in this?
We're going past Scoot McNairy on either Heat Check or
We haven't done Deanne Waiters
we
yet.
haven't. Okay.
It's a crowded Deanne Waiters
Okay,
field.
sorry.
Very, very.
Tyler Perry, who I think qualifies. He's only in like 4 scenes.
Okay.
Casey Wilson. My personal choice, Lola Kirk, who I can't believe is also, what is she in?
Jemima
Mozart?
Kirk. Oh, and Mozart in the Jungle. Yeah, it's Jemima Kirk's sister too from
Yeah.
Girls.
And who'd you have?
I mean, Scoot McNairy is Tommy O'Hara, the boyfriend who Ben Affleck goes to visit, and he tells the whole story of their encounter.
That
I
one
mean,
scene. It's
That
great.
is
You know
literally
your
a
wife.
heat check. You know,
Yeah.
you do know your wife. Exactly.
Yeah.
That great line. That's a harrowing, weird, intense scene. Scoot like keeps doing this. He did this in Once Upon a Time in America too, where he's in like 90 seconds of the movie. It's like Scoot McNairy is a pretty famous actor at this point.
The
But
Hollywood movie?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
who do you have?
It's obviously Emily.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean-
yeah.
Are you kidding? Her entire performance is, and I say this with nothing but respect and sincere admiration, standing in the snow so that Ben Affleck can rub her lips, sitting on a couch so that Ben Affleck can take her dress off and passionately rub his face against her ample breasts, mouthing things to him
Fuck
at
you.
the vigil.
Yeah.
Then
Or
getting
asshole.
dressed up in like schoolgirl, innocent
That part's
outfit
great. We should have mentioned that
to go
earlier.
on and do her
The schoolgirl
press
outfit's
conference.
great, yeah.
So weirdly, there's actually like range in the performance. The pouty thing.
Sure is.
She's the fodder for like the absolutely incredible exchange about the underwear between Nick and Go. It's like you're dating someone who doesn't even know where she keeps her underwear. Like that whole thing is just so incredible. She's my pick.
I'm going Lola.
Tough one
I like
for us to
I like
discuss.
Tyler Perry in this.
I do too.
I just think it's so funny.
What a likable performance by him.
It's so
He's
funny
great.
that at the end he's like, "Fucking, she got you. What
Yeah.
are you gonna do? What
Yeah.
are you gonna do?"
There's a great Wesley has a great line that's in the piece that it describes the Tyler Perry performance as one long "y'all white people are crazy."
Yeah, that's funny. Half-assed internet research. Affleck researched and studied several men who were accused and convicted of killing their wives. He paid particular attention to Scott Peterson.
Mm.
That's a tough one if you're just married to Ben Affleck. You're like, what are you reading?
Yeah.
Oh, the Scott Peterson book. You're kind of like, okay, cool, dude.
Cool, dude.
Yeah.
On set one day, Affleck changed the lens setting of a camera an almost indiscernible amount, betting a crew member that Fincher wouldn't notice. Affleck lost a bet as Fincher brought up, why does the camera look a little dim? Fincher, fucking maniac.
Who do you think Fincher identifies with more, Nick or Amy?
Amy.
Amy,
Who do you think Gillian Flynn identifies with more, Nick or Amy?
Nick.
Yeah. That's why this movie works. That's exactly why. There's a Nick and there's an Amy.
The bar restaurant is now a real restaurant, exactly where it was filmed in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. We mentioned the Yankees thing. First time Ben Affleck had done full frontal on screen. Fincher said he wanted it to be like a European movie, warts and all.
I would quibble
quite
with that and say
full
it's
frontal.
not full frontal. It is side dick.
frontal.
Side frontal.
Yeah.
Side frontal.
But I appreciated it nonetheless.
But kind of a revolutionary moment in side
Oh,
dick.
yeah.
Was that a thing before this? Had that ever occurred to you?
Jason pointed out that they do this scene, like a version of this in a Batman comic. You see
That's
like the
right.
side of a Batman dick,
Huh.
and then you see a real Batman dick. So
You think that? So you think it was ultimately Affleck's idea, since he had been reading up on Batman to prep for Batman?
I think it was like a hat tip to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
a dick tip to it.
When we were thinking of ringer names, sidedick.com was
That's
one
right.
of the 5
Yeah.
finalists.
Yeah.
We never came through on
It was
that.
taken, unfortunately. Shea had been sitting on it.
I had no idea what this means, but Fincher shot an allegedly incredible 500 hours of material over the 100-day shoot, which is an average of 5 hours a day. Apparently, that's a lot.
Yep.
Rosamund Pike claimed that per Fincher's request, she and Neil Patrick Harris spent 2 hours on set completely alone rehearsing their sex scene.
I also saw a report that she had practiced that scene with a Dora the Explorer doll.
Fun.
Don't know if that's true.
Jesus. She gained and lost 13 pounds 3 times to play the character at different times in her life. Hamburgers and malts to gain the weight, exercised with a boxer for 4 hours a day, and ran 5 miles a day to lose the weight. So that's why her weight goes up and down. It actually really does. In the
This
scene
stuff.
when Nick pushes Amy against the wall, she said around take 18 of getting my head bashed against the wall, I literally saw stars. She felt like she had a minor concussion.
That was her doing that.
Yeah.
See, you should have got the Oscar.
I never know how they fake that when somebody's head hits the whatever like that. Because obviously
He pushed her into the
Fincher's like, we're not
the
faking
stairs.
this.
What do you guys think of that moment in the movie?
I was shocked. I was 100% shocked. And then even more shocked when I find out it was a lie.
I think it's. Oh, you mean
No,
the
but
staircase?
that's the real one, right?
No, you're
This
talking about
is
the one at
real
the
one
end.
at the end.
The one at the end.
Oh,
where he
yeah.
throws her against the wall. I think it's very purposeful.
Yeah.
And it's meant to indicate that Nick is not off the hook here.
No.
Nick is a bad guy. He's
gonna
not a
stay
good
together
guy.
forever,
Yes,
is
and
what
they
that
have
is.
something between them that is fucked up, and you should not feel pure sympathy for Nick in this moment. He's
I
still
think you
got
need
something
it.
toxic.
I agree.
going
I
on.
think you need it too. Flynn admitted the gender-related critical response affected her. And she hovered under her covers and said, I killed feminism. Why did I do that? I did not mean to do that. And then she got over it. So there you go. Apex Mountain. Rosamund Pike, I think, is definition
sure.
of
Mhm.
Apex
Definitely.
Mountain.
Absolutely.
What's Fincher's Apex Mountain? We decided Social Network, right, for him?
Got to be. Right?
It honestly changes all the time.
It's,
Um,
it's a social
it's Social Network.
Yeah.
That's the best movie of this decade.
Every time I watch one of his movies, though, I'm like, that's the best one. Except for Benjamin Button. I still don't get Benjamin Button at all. I don't really know why he did that. That one's not perverted.
I don't think it's the best movie of the decade, though.
You know
I think
whose
it's the second
Apex
best.
Mountain this wasn't? Neil Patrick Harris, because he fucking sucked in this
Tough.
movie.
It's tough beat.
Is this the Apex Mountain for Mountain Dew?
Oh, it might be. Has it
Prominent
ever been
product
better?
placement. Like there's a lot. The whole.
They spit in it though. Do you think they paid
Well,
for that?
You know, that part's tough, but we're really focused. Like, there's a lot of junk food. You know, part of the reveal is the shopping montage, the hair, because she's going to do her whole makeover. You get the little mini donuts. We see the hamburger later, the Coke, the Cheetos, the Fritos in the pool later on. But Mountain Dew is the one we linger on. It's been poured into a glass so that we can see the spit, and yet the bottle is still there. You're thinking about that Mountain Dew for a while, and then when she sips it, she's like,
I like that
Fuck
moment
yeah.
a lot. I like that she's not gonna let any slight go unpunished from now on.
That's right.
That's true.
I think Cape Girardeau, Missouri, or wherever the fuck this was. Cape Girardeau? Definitely Apex Mountain. Picking nits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go here right now. So Amy's this meticulous murder framer. She spends 3 years framing Ben Affleck and writing diaries in different pens and everything she does. She's a lunatic, a type A maniac lunatic. Absconds to this hotel room, starts gaining weight, has this whole plan. Can't figure out how to hide her money.
Yeah.
Like Josh Brolin in No Country for Old Men, who's a fucking moron. And it's like, yeah, I'll put the money in that vent and push it through and has like a plan. And she's just like,
His plan.
I'll
didn't
just
work
have
out
a money
either,
belt.
So
He got it. He left the hotel.
though. And then he died.
I understood this very clearly when I watched it last night, what's happening with this. And maybe this is obvious if I explain it, but it's the first time that she's ever been confronted with anything that is actually hard in her life. And she has no experience with the real world. She's a super privileged person, and she has no idea what it's like to sleep in a place like this. She has no idea what kind of people she's going to encounter. She's really isolated in her like fancy New York community, and then she's very isolated in Missouri. And it's the first time she's kind of on her own with scurrilous people, and she doesn't really consider the fact that someone would try to rob her. and that there was no expectation. And when she drops the money the first time, it's like a kind of a shocking reveal a little bit. You can see that there's like there's a flaw there with her. But even then, she's still not totally sure that someone would take advantage of her because she's the person who's always taking advantage of someone else.
I disagree.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
I disagree.
I think it's a fuck
because we
up.
see her, she's ready to get out of there.
Yeah.
When they show up,
Mhm.
and also you don't hide the money; you keep the money on you. That's what she did. Her mistake was getting excited about getting a fucking hole in one during miniature golf.
Well,
that's
that's-
the best place to have the money is on you.
What
Don't
kind
leave
of
it
a
in the room.
money belt falls off when you jump 6 inches in the air? That was one of my picking nits
Also,
too. Like the nature of how it's revealed to them.
And
in
why
the
is she
first
playing
place.
miniature golf with those two fuckheads? What is
Just
she
having
gaining
some
out of that?
fun.
I think she's just getting comfortable.
Yeah.
She's just getting comfortable in
Wow,
her new
she
life.
slipped up.
Sloppy?
Amy had it. She was right up to the miniature golf. She made that long putt. Her whole thing unraveled.
Maybe are we going to go into her suicide plan? Is that on your picking nits list? Because it's related to this, obviously.
I just think she loved herself too much to ever actually kill herself. I
Right.
never believed that. I think she was going through the charade of that, but
Yeah.
she's too much of a fan of Amy.
I agree. That was exactly my take, which is like, why was she going to kill herself?
She wanted to get away with this and then have a victory lap for the next 12 years
Right.
about how she framed this guy and how fucking awesome it was. We talked about how incompetent the FBI was.
Very tough. How do you just
Amy's like, I'm
The question
tired.
is-
I need how is she not there for 7 hours being interrogated every step of the way? They just like, oh, she seems tired. Let's let her go. She's covered in fucking blood.
right?
I-
The question is asked, but not by the FBI agents. How do you get the box cutter if you're saying that you were tied up the whole time?
Yeah.
You just have to press on that point. You have to.
but like they don't on purpose, like Sean was saying. I just really like after she knows she's won and she knows she's defeated Boney and she gives her that look. Like, I know you know that I know that you know. It's fucking Amy done, baby. Amy done.
Careless.
This is a question really for everybody who's ever seen this movie. Would you ever in a million years sleep in the same house with Amy with the door unlocked? Ever after this? Like Ben Affleck's like, nighty night, let me tuck you in, Ben.
Her saying, let me tuck you back in is
Let me tuck you back in.
exceptionally
I'd be
creepy.
like, you can tuck me back in, but you're going to leave the room and I'm going to double lock the door with the double lock that I just put in. And you're not getting
They
into my
do show
room
him
while I
locking
sleep.
it in the movie.
I would have 3 locks.
I love the moment where he holds the cat
Yeah.
in the second bedroom,
I'm
like
gonna control something.
protecting
I would never
himself
sleep
and the
again.
cat.
I would be like Josh Brolin in No Country for Old Men, just in the door with the giant rifle.
There's a line in the book, like he describes it as like it feels like sleeping next to a spider. Like you're just always afraid that you're gonna get bitten.
I would hope so. She's a fucking murderer.
Yeah.
She has the great line when he's like, "Was there really a baby?" And then she's laying in the bed. She's like, "There can
can
be," and
be.
she pats the bed.
Yeah.
What's going on? But this is gonna be my hottest take of the whole
Yeah.
podcast. I would be in. I would be like, you know what?
Wow.
Come on.
She really loves me a lot. And if she doesn't really like genuinely love me a lot, she's gonna pretend to love me a lot. So like, all right, I'll make a life with you.
Shay believes
she
in
did
love.
She did all of that stuff.
I don't think that Nick thinks for a second that he really loves her.
No.
Or that she loves him. It's though the thing that makes the interview that he does that makes that whole sequence so good. It's not really what he does. It's watching her watch him.
Mhm.
You know, and the chin moment and knowing that he's wearing the tie that she got him, the watch that she got him. Because like what was the theme of the Scoot McNairy scene? She was just trying to craft me this whole time. And that moment for her watching that interview, the reason to your point that she convinces herself to go home, it's twofold. She's lost control of the Desi situation or thinks she will. And she sees there proof that she can still make Nick the thing that she wanted to make him the whole time. And that he does really know her as well as she was always hoping that he would. And that's not love, but it's definitely recognition. And sometimes that can be enough, at least for these two people.
That's enough for me. And also, she's very clear with her rules. Like, do these things and nothing is going to happen and everything's going to be great. And I'm like, all right. Like, if I know what to do, then I'll just do what I'm told to do.
Be a prisoner in your own home for the next 18 years.
So frame someone for a murder and you have Shay's love for life.
Well, let's try to understand what would have happened if Nick had left. What are the ramifications for Nick if he is like, I'm out? Now, is it a fear of exposure of
I had
some
that
things
for
that he had done?
unanswerable.
Okay.
No, I
You're less worried about that and more worried about she's gonna do something.
Like she's gonna kill me.
She's gonna
Like kill my
She's gonna
sister.
figure that something
Yeah.
out.
It's the
I'm gonna
baby.
pay for this somehow.
It's just the baby. I mean, that's the
Right.
that is the only thing that makes him stay because he
Is it?
Yeah.
But
To
I feel
that
like there's an
moment, he was
ambiguity
gonna-
at the end that he wants to be with her.
he
There's
wa-
something sinister going on in that conversation with Margot where you're like, does he actually want to be with
Sometimes
her?
it's just two people who like kind of hate each other, but also they're like, I need to be around.
It's
this
like
guy.
in Cruising, the most fucked up movie of all time. He's shaving in the mirror at the end, and you don't know whether he's actually gone all the way or not
Mhm.
with his undercover
Yeah.
gig. And I felt like it was the same thing with this movie. I have no idea if he's actually now in with this marriage because it
He's
seems
definitely
like
in.
he's in.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think there's a difference between affection, love, connection, whatever you want to call it, and an addiction, right? There's definitely an addiction at play that the two of them share, but the baby is the thing that brings him back into the point where that can then kick in again. I don't think that happens otherwise. And I think that is, again, while I think in general I enjoy the movie as much as or more than the book, one of the big changes that is for the worse in terms of understanding the characters is not making Nick's dad a character. Like he's in it for 30 seconds. You don't get any of that history. And that history is essential because Nick's father was a cheater and was a misogynist and wasn't a good father. And so he, like, this defining presence in his life is the fear that he is going to become that he doesn't know how to appreciate and treat women because of the lessons that he internalized from watching his father. And so what does he want to be? He wants to prove that he can be a good father. That's important to him. And he wanted that baby. Remember, he was the one who wanted to have a child. Amy didn't.
Best quote.
Wait. There are more nits to pick.
Oh, go.
I can't believe no one else mentioned this.
Neil Patrick Harris.
I'll be happy
sucking?
to bring it up.
Oh.
No, we talked about that once or twice. The night that they meet, they're at the party. Cute talk about wheat beer. Great. Walk through a sugar storm. You kiss. Great. Things are going well. Fine. You go back to an apartment. You hook up. Great. Nick is going down on Amy
Yes.
and does not remove her underwear.
I think that's a thing though.
He's just, but it's not like I'm just like making my way around your body for a few seconds and this is all part of exploring you and the foreplay. They are fully in the act. Like this is, if you look at the headboard, there are handprints, sugar handprints everywhere. Like they've been going at this for quite some time. He is down there. We have the classic framing of the scene where her leg is up to block his face so that we can't actually see her nudity in full. And then we get the reverse angle from her perspective where she's, oh, Nick, oh. And he's just like, huh? Lifts up her underwear to look at her. And it's like, you've just been doing that for 10 minutes? Just holding up her underwear? Take them off. What are you doing?
When she has sex with Desi though, she also has her underwear on.
That's because she's about to make an escape.
I know, but maybe that's like a thing that just everybody knows about her who has been with her.
I
Good thing.
think you
Prefers
just
that.
got to open your mind to different techniques. Everybody's different. They've got different strategies.
Sure.
Who knows what's going on
Yeah.
with Nick
It's a
Dunn?
weird
He's been
porn
working at a
search.
men's magazine. Who knows what kind of advice they're given in those
Men's
magazines?
magazine.
You never know.
Okay. I'm going to call pick and knit on that one.
Maybe one more picking it.
So
Or do you
that-
have more?
I got a few more.
That was
You
a
got few
great.
more. Okay.
That was a great knit you just picked.
I just don't like that when Nick is sweeping up the broken glass in the kitchen, Bleecker, the cat, is sitting on the stool. Like he let him walk through the broken glass to get up to the stool.
Well, that
That's
helps
very
out
upsetting
him
to
being a
me.
bad
Walked over there
character.
and picked him
He
up.
did, and he's in general quite nurturing to him. I don't like that he leaves him alone.
Bleecker, the cat.
Take him with you to go his house, be with your animal. But that was very upsetting. I also, the moment where Nick is like sold on Tanner Bolt fully is because Tanner finds the Tommy O'Hara, gives the Scoot character, who then 12 seconds later in the film says out loud, I can't get a date because when women Google me, this is what they see. So the thing that sold you on an $100,000 retainer lawyer is that he could Google a guy. Anyone can find this guy. He's a registered sex offender. What? We already talked about the Mets hat. Should have just been a Cardinals hat. Doesn't make sense. How did the money belt fall off when she jumped in the air? I don't understand that. And then the media training with Tanner Bolt and Nick. The gummy bear scene.
I like it.
It's 10 minutes before the interview.
Yeah.
What have they been doing for the last
That's a good.
handful of
that's
days.
The last run through.
Another good
No,
Yeah,
it isn't. It's the first run through. Very clearly the first run through. And then this has really always bothered me. Just Amy covered in blood during the FBI interrogation.
Like wash it off.
Wash it off.
It's disgusting.
It just doesn't make sense. They would want her to be comfortable and clean. The fact that she is that committed to the bit
It's
is
a movie-making
sign.
flourish in an effort to get the
that's
blood to
Fincher.
run off of her when they
Fincher's
go in the
feeling it.
shower. That's all set up for the shower.
Not a fan of it. And then no one hears when they reunite that she says kiss. And then during the no one hears what he whispers to her when they reunite. And then no one hears during the welcome home event, kiss me on the cheek. And then no one sees that he doesn't do it.
I enjoy that. I think that reveals the falseness of the whole presentation, that a lot of this is fake. Life is fakery.
One more picking it. Are you done? Do you have
I
more?
am. I'm done.
That was a great list.
Thanks, man.
It's a good list.
I love this movie.
One more. When they have the fight about the money,
Mhm.
and she tells him that her parents took most of her trust fund, and she's like, that, almost all of the $1 million, or is almost $1 million, and he says, oh, that was almost all of it. And then later on, we find out that they took $870-something thousand, which means in her trust fund still, she has over $120,000 at minimum. Y'all are not poor, like fucking relax about the fucking depression or whatever, like job depression. Fucking, you got money, you're okay. You're buying fucking laptops for laptop.
Yeah, it's a fake version of struggle. Their whole life is a fake version of struggle. It's what they imagine. I mean, they're living in basically a McMansion in a suburban neighborhood in Missouri. You know, that house is fucking beautiful. There's French doors in the upstairs
Lovely.
segment. There's all these
Fancy
built-ins along the
ceilings.
hallway.
You
Like,
want to move the ringer there?
That'd be great. Not to Missouri, because fuck the Cardinals. But
Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I like doing any podcast with Mallory, her insistence on using the name of the pet and not just calling it the cat, which really any normal human being would do is be like, and then their cat. And she's like, Bleecker the cat.
Well,
You identify the.
I should note, though, that the actor's name is Cheeto.
Okay. Next.
It's a great performance for Cheeto.
Cheeto.
He has such a presence about him in every scene.
You
Also,
should email Cheeto's agent and tell him.
well, don't you
really
wish
like
you could
this.
talk to Cheeto? He witnessed everything.
He did.
He sees it all.
Can't see it all.
Bill, what do you got next?
Best quote. We're not allowed to do anything from the Amy monologue. My favorite non-Amy quote is, I swear you people are the most fucked up people I've ever known, and I specialized in fucked up.
Tanner?
It's just great from Tanner. That's a good high school yearbook quote.
It's good.
Like if somebody puts that in with the one asterisk on the 3 U's, that's a statement on the high school. Just, I'm out. What else do you have, Mallory? I'm allowing you 4.
Oh, no. Well,
Yeah,
then
4.
they have to go. So I have like 15. So
All right.
We're running out of time.
I'll do mine. This is at the very end of the movie. This is after we've seen Amy just do 100 insane things.
Yeah.
And her and Ben are fighting about the baby. She tells him about the baby, and he says, like, I want a paternity test. I want a blood test. And her response to that is, I love tests. Fucking,
Good one.
I laughed
That's
out
good.
loud when that
Amazing
happened. I
Amy.
just couldn't believe it.
Good one.
That was what she said. That's my favorite line of the whole movie. I love tests.
Your favorite isn't, fun fact for the readers, you have a world-class vagina?
No.
No one's going to pick that? No one? No?
I love tests.
Imagine saying
t-shirt
that
that
to
says,
your
"I love
fiance in front of reporters.
Astonishing moment.
Quite a flex. I really like I've completely lost it. Shoot.
Mallory's got 3
Now,
more.
well, we
more?
can keep talking about the vagina. We
No,
know how
that's
hard
not-
she
that's-
worked
I
for
got
it. That's not
distracted.
one of my 4 picks. I was throwing
Okay.
it out there, thinking maybe one of you were going to pick the opening moment of the movie. Nick's
wife
whole the thing about when I think of my wife, I always think of her head. I picture cracking her lovely skull and spooling her brains. Yada yada yada. The real payoff is the primal questions of any marriage. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? What have we done to each other? That is an incredible opening note for the film and a pretty poignant thing to spend a little bit of time thinking about in your own life. I
Unless
really
you're
like
the
that.
Serranos. You're like, I can't believe all the great stuff we've done together.
It's true. What else?
I like the one I was trying to think of was I was with you before we were even born, when Margot
Oh,
and Nick
Margot.
are talking at
Go
the end.
has a lot of good
A
lines.
lot of
Twin
great.
quote.
Yeah.
Go is down.
I
Yeah.
love when Go's like, I thought writers hated cliches when
Yeah.
she's dunking at him about the affair. We talked about this moment already, but when Go says at the end when she's breaking down and Nick is telling her that he's going to stay with Amy, that they're going to have a baby, and the way that she says you want to stay with her is really devastating.
Yeah.
That is a
sobbing.
sad moment.
Another good,
Really well acted.
Another good go one is when they're listing all the places that Ben has had sex, and they do the woodshed. And she's like, why didn't you just get a hotel? And he's like, it shows up on the statement. Why didn't you put it on Andy's? And it's like, it goes to her parents. And she just goes, ew.
Yeah.
Margot does have a lot. Everyone knows that complicated is a code word for bitch.
That's great.
I mean, the perhaps the least believable line of dialogue in the whole movie is a sister saying to her twin brother, I don't know what you can do. I know what you can do. You can go home and fuck her brains out. Then you can take your penis and smack her in the face with it and say, there's some wood, bitch. Imagine a sibling
moment.
saying that to you.
That's a tough one.
Kind of Lannister.
I like the exchange between Boney and Gil about how Amy is funding Nick's life, and the line when Gil says no, but it is humiliating. That's a really good line and a really good moment that gets to the heart of a lot of their not only their interpersonal dynamics, but the gender politics at large, and what can make a man feel emasculated in his relationship. I think that's a succinct but important moment. I of all of Amy's lines, I think the one that, oh man, there are so many good ones. The pregnant idiot one. It might hurt you, but it is. It really is exceptional. Invite pregnant idiot into your home and ply her with lemonade. I think my favorite Amy one, though, is he actually expected me to love him unconditionally. That's crushing. That's tough.
Could this be remade as a 10-episode Netflix show?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes, but it would have to be 2 5-episode seasons.
Would you rather Fincher made this or Manhunter?
Mindhunter.
Mindhunter.
Just choosing
this is a
series versus Mindhunter. I think Mindhunter is a better idea for a series. I think Gone Girl is a better idea for a movie, and it works great as a movie.
Yeah.
Probably unanswerable questions. Would Amy returning to Nick's house in front of the cameras, how many YouTube views for that clip? I'm going to say like 25 million.
Oh, easy. Easy.
That's like the craziest clip of all time.
Yeah.
That may be like 125 million.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, did you see that clip out of the lady covered in blood?
Because this is a national story at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Rosamund Pike said there was rumors of a Gone Girl sequel and she'd be interested in. What does a Gone Girl sequel look like? Maybe that's the 10-episode Netflix show.
Yeah, I mean, the further adventures of Amy Dunn doing crazy shit is basically what it would be. Inevitably, she would have to do something else. She would have to orchestrate
The internet
something
would
else.
not like it.
Here
The
it is.
internet would be very
I got
upset.
it. Gone Girl 2. Rosamund, Ben, and then the baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
Young daughter.
Damien Omen, baby.
They're at a carnival.
Son.
They're at a carnival. They're walking back to their car. They've just gotten some snacks. Rosamund is like, oh, I need some mustard for my corn dog. She goes back. When she goes back, some cartel members drive by. They shoot up the place. It turns out Ben Affleck had a bad drug deal with the cartel. Kills Ben, kills the daughter. And
This also could be Dead of
I
Thieves
was
too.
just going to say, is this a Den of Thieves crossover?
this is the movie Peppermint. I just watched the movie Peppermint with Jennifer Garner. It just fit. It all fit.
I thought you were going to go The Baby Got Kidnapped.
No.
And it was called like Gone Boy. And it was like a 5-year-old
Nice.
kid
That's
kidnapped
good.
at a
What's their
carnival.
kid's life going to be like is one
It's
of
gonna be
the
fantastic.
great unanswerable questions.
They're
What?
gonna be really good at soccer, and they're going to get into an Ivy League school. Those two things are going to happen for this baby.
Again, I'd like to state for the record that Amy, when we say Amy is crazy, we're not using that word in the like casual, euphemistic way that people sometimes use it. Amy is like is a psychopath.
She is the star of season 4 of Mindhunter.
Yeah. Amy is a
She's a
psychopath.
crazy person.
So I don't think that child's life would be happy, Ivy League soccer or not. Did no one hear them fuck in the bookshop? That's one of my unanswerable questions. There's a person very close by, right?
What would you do?
Well,
Just
if I
walk
heard,
away.
Yeah.
oh, same. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too.
like,
Walk away.
Take some books out,
This
look, and then put them back and go.
this question's just for Mallory. You guys can stay out of this.
Should we leave?
No, you can stay out of this. Was there any fluffing?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. I've been wondering about this.
Okay.
Had to be a little bit, right?
How much time do you think it took? He's like, can you give me 30 seconds?
So how graphic do we want to be here?
Well, that's why I told them to sit this out.
There's no gravity is still at play,
It's not
right?
like
right. We're
an
hanging
elephant
down.
It's a rise and fall situation. It's obviously a rise and fall situation.
We're on the back end.
We're on the back end.
Oh,
Interesting.
It has to be.
well,
I don't know what y'all are talking
let's
about.
bring him
but it
out, Ben
sounds
Affleck.
terrible.
Ben, would you like to demonstrate for us right now how you pulled it off?
Who won the movie?
No more unanswerable questions.
No. We got to end this. Who won the movie?
Rosamund.
I always say Fincher when we do Fincher movies.
Bleecker the Cat.
Because this is his most successful movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in 2014 when movies are no longer successful at the box office. And he basically drops the mic and then goes out and makes television and gets all the money in the world from Netflix. Also, Fincher, it's important to note this. I should have said it at the top when we were talking about him. Obsessed with Alfred Hitchcock. Obsessed. If there's this great documentary called Hitchcock True Foe about the book Hitchcock True Foe, Fincher is talking in it. He never does interviews like this. He talks at length about what he loves about Hitchcock movies, how he studies them. This is a Hitchcock movie. It's more fucked up. It's got more blood. It's got more sex. It's got more dick. But it's a striking blonde. It's a scurrilous, tall, handsome movie actor. It's got a lot of changing sense of who we should trust and who we should not trust. It's pure Hitchcock. And it's his ode to these Hitchcock movies. So to me, it's Fincher.
I also vote Fincher.
You've convinced me.
I just feel like
convinced me.
I just feel like
Rosamund.
I feel like the part was incredible, and I think 4 or 5 actresses would have at least scored 50 points with this part.
She's exceptional. Maybe it's a
She's great in
shared
it.
win for them and for Bleecker the Cat. I just will say I can't believe we didn't do an unanswerable question on Tanner Bolt's 2 guys that he keeps mentioning. I got 2 guys. We could have done a whole 30 minutes on them. Something to look forward to next
I forgot
time.
one more unanswerable question. What happened to Bleecker the cat?
He's
Think he's still around?
thriving. Yeah. What? Yes.
He's good?
Great.
He probably ran away and got hit by a car.
Why would you say that? What's wrong with you?
That's it for the Rewatchables. Shea, Mallory, Sean, this was a pleasure.